Hi everyone, Boker Tov. I'm Laura Itzhaki from Olim Advisors with Chanale. Chanale, I would love you to
Hi.
introduce yourself, tell us all about you, and give us your positive message about living in Israel.
All right. I am Chanale Fellig-Harrel. I am a Floridian born and raised. My grandmother's a Holocaust survivor. My grandmother on my maternal side is from a small village in Russia. And I don't think anyone expected me to make Aliyah, but here I am. I grew
All
up,
hakavod.
Baruch Hashem, I'm very grateful and happy that I am here. I grew up a typical American slash Chabad teenager, went to high school in Canada, actually. And I never thought much about Israel aside from what we were taught in school. You know, we davened facing Yerushalayim, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe was very supportive of Israel, and we knew that the prime ministers would come speak to him. But living in Israel, it was just never on my radar. I came for seminary. While I loved the experience, I was very eager to go home. I remember feeling very overwhelmed by the mentality here. And I
Very
missed the
different.
customer service. And, we Americans can be a little spoiled in that sense. But ultimately, this just was my destiny. And when the time came for me to follow the voice, the calling, I tuned into it and I took all the steps until I landed here, and now I could not be happier. So I could tell you a little bit about what triggered my desire, if you'd like.
Yeah, I would love to hear that. And also, when did you actually get here?
So we're here 5.5 years. It's
Okay.
crazy. Yeah. We were living in Florida. I mean, first we were in New York. I had my children there, and then we moved to Florida at some point. New York is just a hard place to live. It's a rough neighborhood, Brooklyn. And we moved back to Florida to be closer to my parents and to have a little sunshine and be able to find parking and go to Costco. And we found our beautiful little house, and we had a security at the, it was like a gated community with security, and everything was it was even a little lake with ducks, and life was very scenic and beautiful and picturesque. And then at some point, I think it was around 2016 during the elections, I became very, very concerned for the future of America, very disenchanted. And I just started thinking to myself, what else is out there? This can't be it. This can't be the future for my children. This little city of Oak Ridge, this little, it felt like the Truman Show. Like everything was too perfect. I'm going to Costco on Sunday, and everything is nice and organized and very American. We're going to buy our house, and we have a swimming pool, but something was missing. And I remember sitting outside with my husband in the evenings, swatting away mosquitoes, looking up at the sky and thinking, why don't we just take our kids to Israel? Like, why don't we just live a little more on the wild side, a little adventure? Let's do it. And he's like, are you crazy? My husband's from Israel. He's like, I ran away from there. I want to be here. I love America. I don't want to go back to Israel. It's so hard to make a living there. And I said, I know, but there's so much there. And he's like, what? I'm like, I don't know. I just feel a yearning. And I know that when I get there, I'm going to find something for me and for the kids. And that kind of
How old were your kids at this point?
so my youngest was 2. My oldest was 10.
Okay.
And yeah. And although they had friends in school and we were happy with Torah Semes, there was just, like I said, there was a lack of enthusiasm. There was a lack of patriotism almost for America. I was like, I don't feel like I belong here anymore. I don't feel like politically I'm aligned with anything that's going on. And I want to be. I'm a passionate person. I want to care. I want to contribute. I want to be a part. I want my vote to make a difference. So why am I investing all that energy here if we have Israel? Like, we can do this. No one's holding us back. We're free. We're grown-ups. We can do whatever we want. Right. So I told my husband, I said, let's see. Let's put this Aliyah thing into motion. Little did I know how much paperwork was involved.
How much emotion that actually was.
And I said, oh my Lord. But I said, I will do step by step. I'll put one foot in front of the other. Okay, so we're going to send off these forms. We're going to get them back because I forgot to sign them. We're going to send them off again. And then we're going to get them back because it's sent to the wrong mailing address. But we'll send them off again. And then we'll have to go get legally married. And then we'll have to go get our kids' birth certificates. And then there's going to be a new law that you need a letter from your doctor who retired So he's in Cancun. We're going to have to get a letter from him that he actually delivered the baby, because a birth certificate is clearly not enough. And it just, when, I went deep into the paperwork. But all the while I was on YouTube watching videos, listening to Israeli music. I used to watch Israeli news at night. I watched Jamie Geller's Aliyah video, and I thought,
right,
oh, that's going to be
I
me
can do
soon.
it.
I'm going to be on that airplane and I'm going to be crying as we land. And this is going to be my new home. Don't get me wrong. I definitely had a pit in my stomach as I packed up our beautiful furniture and our books and our American, all our fancy stuff, and left all our electronics behind. And I remember thinking, Israel's small. I remembered I hadn't been there in 12 years. I remembered from seminary going to people for Shabbosim, and the beds were tiny and mattresses are thin and milk is in bags, and it's going to be a whole new world, Obviously, Israel has modernized quite a bit since then. But I was, apprehensive. I was definitely apprehensive. And I remember asking my friends, should we bring scooters? Do they sell scooters in Israel? What about flip-flops? Do they sell flip-flops in Israel?
Like, you're going to a third world country.
Yeah. How many Ziploc bags do we need? I never even use Ziploc bags, but apparently we need Ziploc bags. And the truth is, I always tell people, you don't need to bring anything. You literally don't need to bring anything. Everything you need, everything you want, you can get here, you can order here, you can ship here. And when you live here, you learn that the things that you want are not that important. And that is not my focus anymore.
100%.
That is not my focus anymore. Yeah. So we applied, we were approved. Then, Nefesh B'Nefesh worked hand in hand with us. Again, it was a long, complicated, drawn out, tedious process, but I reveled in it. And my heart was just, I felt like I fell in love before even meeting. Like, I felt like, when you date online and you're going to go meet the person, like we were dating, me and Israel, we were dating online. And then I came here and it was just everything I thought it would be and more. And I've never looked back.
What did you not think about? Like, what could you tell people today to say, you know what? Yes, everything to me, it was like this big dream and it was amazing. And I got here and it was beautiful, but I wish I would have known X, or I wish I would have done this, maybe that would have helped my kids a little bit more.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, we got very lucky, but finding a place to live is a challenge. We looked at dozens of apartments. We had a very hard time figuring out what would be the right school for our kids, what would be the right neighborhood for our kids, how to apply to the schools. Everything obviously is in Hebrew. It's a different mentality. It's a different system. You don't just come and give them your tuition checks. Getting your kid into the right preschool so that he's a block away and not on the other side of town because you forgot to sign up on the right date.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a whole process. Obviously, choosing a health plan. Once I just chose Maccabi because I was like, Maccabi, that sounds cool. I had no inkling what the difference would be. I didn't know if I should, get the gold plan. At first we got the gold plan and then we didn't get the gold plan. And then when I needed it, I didn't have it. And, what's the difference between private doctors and public doctors? And should I wait 3 months to get my kids a dentist appointment, or should I go, to somebody that I could just pay cash and get it over with? There were just so many, even like with ordering our appliances, like what was appropriate. We finally went and got our refrigerator and we brought it to our apartment and it didn't fit into the slot of the refrigerator. It was off by an inch. So now my refrigerator is practically in the middle of the kitchen. All these little things. And then we had the refrigerator, what's it called? Brought up and put into our home. And I was like, where are the handles for the fridge? He goes, oh, that's a separate guy. The handle guy has to come. You have to call the handle guy. I'm like, what do you mean the handle guy has to come? Just put you're standing right here. Just do it. It's a separate thing. Things like, yeah. So those,
there's a lot. It adds up. There's all the little, it's a different culture.
Sure. And then buying a car. I never anticipated how expensive a car would be here. Choosing a car, the cars are different. We didn't get a minivan. We got a Skoda Jeep and it has no trunk space and the seats in the back are tiny, but that was the only option that we had. Maybe we would have bought something different if we, knew that Tesla was going to come to Israel. But there were so many moments of frustration when we first came, determining what we needed to purchase, how much we should spend, where the kids, like I said, are going to be in school. Everyone ended up in different schools. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would drop 4 kids off in different schools.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
each
a lot.
kid is in a different school. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love that they walk to school and I love that they take the bus to the mall. But there was definitely moments, even with dealing with the cleaning here. In America, there's so many cleaning products. You can get organic, and you can get here, there's bleach and a couple of, sprays, and that's it. Like the shopping I found also a process to adapt to. You don't have the variety that you have in America. And you're not going to always have Hellman's mayonnaise, and life goes on. But there were definitely moments of feeling very overwhelmed by the dust storm. I remember cleaning for Pesach, and my house was finally spotless. And literally, Erev Pesach, there was a crazy sandstorm, and the whole apartment was covered in sand. And I remember thinking, that's a test from Hashem, because He wants to see that we're cleaning for Pesach, and we're going to ignore the sand, and we're just going to keep focusing on Yom Tov, because sand is not chametz.
I think it just brings to light that life here just has that much more value. You really focus on what's important, and things that were so important to us beforehand, they just, you push them aside, and you realize those are secondary. Really, what's important is that your kids have, life of value here. Not that there's not elsewhere, but there's just is something more magical here, more special here. And it's amazing to hear, someone like you that came 5 years ago. We also came when our oldest was 10. I think that's, still an age kind of where it's borderline. They can still learn enough Hebrew, so it's not overwhelming to get into high school, but that you manage to look at the positive and kind of ignore all the things, or dealt with it in a way that, in a funny way or in a positive way, and not.
Yeah. You got to take it with
a
a grain of sand. Yeah, you got to take it with a grain of sand. And also, it's like a relationship. When you're married, this. You can criticize your husband and point out all the negative things and focus on his shortcomings. Or you can tell yourself, this was my choice, and I am going to work at this relationship, and we're going to bring out the best in each other. And I'm not going to pay attention to the things that are not perfect. And there are plenty of things in this world that are not perfect. But like when I story on Instagram, you could tilt your phone up, or you could tilt your phone down. And however you tilt your phone, that's going to be the perspective of your audience. And that's going to be my perspective. And I practically see Israel through that lens. I refuse to speak Lashon Hara about Israel. I never allow my children to complain that we live here and we don't live somewhere else. I constantly reiterate that it's a zchus to be here, and that we're lucky, and that it's a blessing, and that there's holiness in the air, and that people wish they could be here, and that every single Shabbos is special because it's Shabbos in Eretz Yisrael. So, obviously, what you do is super important, because I had the advantage of having a husband who speaks Hebrew and having in-laws here. Had I not, I remember thinking, I was spoiled practically. My husband speaks Hebrew, but, it took many years until I was able to understand what any official document, read, or, getting my license.
One of the hardest
3.5 years.
The language, absolutely. To this day, the banking, the healthcare, the bureaucracy, for sure.
Yeah.
So what do you actually do now? Because I saw you on Facebook, and you stuck out, because you came out with this beautiful, happy, positive message. And I said, oh my gosh, I want to meet you. I want to speak to you. I love this, because I'm just like you. I feel like we need to, it is a zchut that we live here. I feel so happy that we made it here for our kids. I feel like it was the best decision. And I want that to be the message. So what do you actually do now professionally?
So I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've been performing and writing music for many years. When I came here, I wanted to, I released an album and recognized that it's a digital world now. Nobody's buying CDs. And unless I gather a large social media following, nobody's going to listen to my songs, no matter how long I've been in the business. The world had shifted, and I had to rise to the occasion. Yeah. So I got on social media, and I said, okay, how am I going to get people's attention? Well, we'll do it 2 ways. I'm going to show them Israel, because I have, a nice new iPhone, and I'm going to run around, and I'm going to see as much as I can, and I'm going to take them with me. And it connected to my album. The theme of my album was I Am the Land, and songs about Israel. And it was part of my process to write that. And secondly, I had time. My kids were all in school, and I would, be home in the mornings and think, okay, well, what can I do now? And I took the camera, my little iPhone camera, and I taped it with duct tape onto a laundry basket, and I stuck it on my dining room table. And I just would rant and rave for a half an hour about what was going on, that the dressers came, and the mess, and the balagan, and every incident was so hilarious. The plastic plates, I remember the plastic plates were so thin here. My mother always bought the best paper goods, because in America, you just buy the best of everything. Right. Remember holding a plastic plate and putting something on, and it just flopped down. And then, when you repeat that, It's hilarious.
But that's what I loved about your messaging, is to take a situation that could be so difficult or so upsetting or so different than what you used to, and you looked at it in an hilarious way, in a positive way, and then your kids learn from that, and then you give that message over, and that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
really like caught my eye, and I said like, wow, amazing, amazing. So kol hakavod that you do that.
Thank you. I'll put it this way. When I was in America, one of my kids got lice, and I sat sobbing while someone else that I paid $500 to sat combing her head.
Wow.
Here in Israel, well, once one of my kids actually sprayed their hair with lice and got it all over the floor, and I went flying and broke my hand. So that wasn't fun. Yeah, but now my kid's like, I'm itchy. We do a quick check. I think I see something crawling here. Go take care of it yourself. Comb your hair in the shower. It'll be good. But like, you just, it's not a priority to obsess about these superficial things. My concerns are the safety of my children. My concerns are obviously, parnasa, but Hashem gave us here as much as he gave us there, if not more. And that's not because we work harder. It's just because everything is pre-planned at the beginning of the year. And I don't believe that parnasa, I mean, you should have a job and, make an effort, but I don't think Hashem is going to deny you a living because you decided to live in Eretz Yisrael. If anything, the opposite. So, and ultimately, and this is my message, if you put your best foot forward, and if you are positive, and if you really, really take it upon yourself to see Israel with rose-colored glasses, the benefits, the reward is just immeasurable. I sit here in my studio. I could look out the window and I could say, why are there so many pigeons on my porch? How am I supposed to deal with that mess every day? Or I could just shift my eyes upwards and see the mountains and see the sheep and see the grass and see the sky and be so grateful that I live here and tell myself a little pigeon waste is not going to kill my day.
You're so inspiring. I love it. I love your message, and I think it's incredible. Really, it's been a pleasure meeting you. I think if we were neighbors, we'd be best friends.
Yeah, we could still be best friends. I will come hang out any day. My kids are in school, and I try to make the most of my experience here. And Baruch Hashem, a cafe afuch with friends is all I need.
Cafe afuch, we're going to meet. Thank you so much, Chanale. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Laura.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Make Aliyah.
Make Aliyah. In an organized way. Plan it out.
That's right. That's right. Bye.
Bye.